Therefore, Udicim, northern side, Disham, direction, Yatu, please go away, Sway, by your relatives, Agyata, without knowledge, Gati, movements, Bhavan, of yourself, Ita, after this, Arvat, will usher in, Prayasa, generally, Kala, time, Pumsam, of men, Guna, qualities, Vikarshana, diminishing. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please, now this is Vidura speaking to Dhritarashtra. He's begging him. Please, therefore, leave for the north immediately without letting your relatives know, for soon that time will approach which will diminish the good qualities of men. What time is that?
No.
Kali Yuga. Purport. One can compensate for a life of frustration by becoming a dhira, or leaving home for good without communicating with relatives, and Vidura advised his eldest brother to adopt this way without delay, because very quickly the age of Kali was approaching. A conditioned soul is already degraded by the material association, and still, in the Kali Yuga, the good qualities of a man will deteriorate to the lowest standard. It was advised to leave home before Kali Yuga approached, because the atmosphere which was created by Vidura, his valuable instructions on the facts of life, would fade away due to the influence of the age which was fast approaching. To become Narottama, or a first-class human being, depending completely on the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, is not possible for any ordinary man. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita 7:28 that a person who is completely relieved of all taints of sinful acts can alone depend on the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Dhritarashtra was advised by Vidura at least to become a dhira in the beginning, if it were impossible for him to become a sannyasi or a narottama. Persistently endeavoring on the line of self-realization helps a person to rise to the conditions of a narottama from the stage of a dhira. The dhira stage is attained after prolonged practice of the yoga system. But by the grace of Vidura, one can attain the stage immediately simply by willing to adopt the means of the dhira stage, which is the preparatory stage for sannyas. The sannyas stage is the preparatory stage of Paramahamsa, the first grade devotee of the Lord. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurunilina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukram Bhuktavachalam Brahmanam Yat Kripa Tadaham Bhante Shriram Dinatana Vanchakalpachubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanam Vaishnavibhyo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Here Vidura is instructing his elder brother to take to the Vanapras, go to the forest. It's such a nice culture, Krishna consciousness. You know, the first 25 years, one is a brahmachari, living a simple life, serving the Guru. Then if one likes, one can take to household life and raise children in Krishna consciousness. And then at the age of 50, one takes Vanaprast, where one dedicates one's life to serving Krishna with one's wife, and then sannyas. One just dedicates oneself completely without any association of relatives. So nice, such a nice culture. In the Srimad Bhagavatm, it said that when one dedicates oneself to Krishna completely renounces the material worlds, one accepts the youthful goddess of renunciation. The youthful goddess of renunciation. So to take sannyas, it's like it's a great opulence compared to a goddess. Because then one takes fully to Krishna consciousness. And this is real wealth. To have pure consciousness where one is dedicating one's life just to serving Krishna. This is the perfection. So Vidura is instructing Dhritarashtra to do this. Just go to the forest. Don't tell your relatives, don't just go. And he did. He took that good instruction. He understood, yeah, I'm getting old, the time was coming. And why just waste it here? So he accepted the good instruction. And we're getting so much good instruction from Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita, from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Getting so many nice instructions from Srila Prabhupada and the commentaries. So we have great treasures of wisdom by which we can advance in Krishna consciousness. So here, Vidura is telling him that age is approaching, which will diminish the good qualities of men. So here he's saying it's approaching, but for us, it's here. We're in the middle of it. Kali Yuga, full on. This is only 5,000 years into Kali Yuga, and it gets much, much worse. Can't imagine. Eventually, it gets so bad that devotees have to hide from the demons, otherwise they'll be killed. And eventually, the last incarnation of this age, Kalki, comes and does some pretty intense preaching. But they all get liberated. If you're killed by God, it's the kindness of Krishna. So, of course, in this age, it's mentioned that in this age, the best process is Kala Dosha Dherajan Apsi Ekamah. Kirtanade Krishna Sambhuta Sambhuta. That in this age of Kali, there's many bad qualities. Wherever you look, so many bad qualities. I was speaking to one student about this at a university, how this, I was speaking to him about this age of Kali, it's created age, many faults. And he said, oh yeah, he said, I was just reading in the newspaper where there was a psychiatrist who was treating a patient that had about 6 different split personalities. That's a problem. 6 different split personalities. So this doctor decided, he had a brilliant idea of charging each of the different 6 personalities. He was a bit of a businessman too, it appears. So one of the split personalities had enough intelligence to take this doctor to court, and the judge couldn't believe it. So he took away his license. He had to go to jail for 2 years. Such cheating. So there's many faults. Leaders, they don't know what's good for the people. No idea what's good for the people. Now we have an election coming up soon. Basically, it's 2 people that are competing for the presidency. But neither of them know what is good for the people. Not a clue. Nor do the people know what is good for them. Because this is a country of the people and for the people. But the people don't know. That's right. They don't know what's wrong. So obviously they're not going to choose the right leader. When Prabhupada was here in Australia, there was a devotee who ran for president of the country. And his statement was, or what do they call it when they have it?
Campaign.
Huh?
Oh, campaign?
There's a phrase. His phrase is, "In God we trust." Slogan.
Oh.
In God we trust. That was that was the party, the name of the party. In God we trust party. Not Republican or Democrat. In God we trust party. Unfortunately, he got 60 votes, but Prabhupada said those 60 people, they got some spiritual advantage from that. They voted for a devotee. So he went out, he was campaigning around the country. With a nice, in God we trust party. I told Vijaya I think it was during the last presidential election, I said, you should run for president. And he said, well, at least I know I'll have one person that votes for me. I'm sure many more, at least all of this government. And many more also, I'm sure. There was a devotee who ran for, I don't think she ran. Tulsi, did she run? I don't think she ran for president. She ran running for a position. She didn't get the position, but she was a very good speaker, and she got many votes actually. And one devotee said that she should look through the teachings of Prithu Maharaj. He had nice understanding of a leader. And Prabhupada also elaborated in the purports. Beautiful. I don't know if she ever did that, but that would be a good thing to do. So one time a devotee said, Prabhupada, you should run for president. I said, no. But I could guide the president. He said, ask the Brahmana. The Kshatriya, He's the leader, he's the president, or he's the king. But the Brahmana, he guides the king, or the prime minister, or the president. Because he knows what God wants. Kshatriya is a little passionate, and it's hard for them to figure it out. But the Brahmana, he's connected to Krishna. Therefore, he's called the head of society. And Prabhupada, he wanted this society of Krishna consciousness to be a society of Brahmanas, because there's no head. And now we have many very nice Brahmanas in our society. Now we have this Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vedanta and Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Sarvabhauma and all. The devotees are really studying Prabhupada's books. And the more we study Prabhupada's books and follow the teachings, the more we become not just a Brahmana, but a Brahmana Vaishnava. The Vaishnava is automatically a Brahmana, but a Brahmana is not automatically a Vaishnava. So it's a Vaishnava Brahmana that really knows what Krishna wants. Because not only is he learned, like a Brahmana, he's learned in the Vedas, but he also lives. He lives the teachings of Krishna in the Vedas. Of course, that's Srila Prabhupada. It's like there's so many Bhagavad Gitas. Prabhupada was speaking about this. He said there's 640 different translations of the Bhagavad Gita. And so many were here already, also before Prabhupada came. And he was even to some extent, it was already famous. There was even one lady that said, "Can you suggest a translation of the Bhagavad Gita?" And Prabhupada said, "I think this is in the preface of this Bhagavad Gita. I'm sorry, I can't suggest any translation for you." So then he was translating it himself. Because these so-called scholars, they weren't living the teachings. They knew some Sanskrit, but they didn't live the teachings. So therefore, Prabhupada called the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And all the other Bhagavad Gitas is Bhagavad Gita as it isn't. And I tell Hindus when I'm distributing Bhagavad Gita, I tell them, so many Bhagavad Gitas, so many translations. Here in America, but nobody became a devotee of Krishna. But Prabhupada came, and he gave Bhagavad Gita as it is, and then thousands of Americans become devotees of Krishna. Not only in America, Europe, China, Russia, all over the world, people became devotees because Prabhupada lived the teachings. He knew what Krishna wanted. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada mentions in a purport that this verse is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. But karma krin, mat parama, mad bhakta sangabhart, nirvairan sarabhutis vyasa. He says that one who works for me, everybody's doing some type of work. Millions, billions of people are working. But what are they working for? Honey, to get sense gratification. They're working for themselves. But Krishna says, work for me. Now one may say, well, work for you, but I mean, I don't get the result? I don't get the result. No, you don't get the result. No, you get some result. But don't keep it all for yourself. It's like Prabhupada said, the standard, the highest standard is 50%, but very few can do that. I only know of, there's probably more, but I only know of two, and they were both doctors making a lot of money. So they were able to give 50%. But to do 50%, especially nowadays, just to get by is a big struggle. But we should work for Krishna in the sense that whatever we're doing it for Krishna. You may have a family, but if you're raised in the family to be Krishna conscious, that means you're working for Krishna. Because you're working, you have to pay bills, you have to have a roof over the head, you have to have food on the table, and all these things. But what is it all for? To raise the whole family in Krishna consciousness. Makarma karma parama. To understand that Krishna, He is the Supreme. He is the Supreme. And because of false ego, so many people think they're the Supreme. False ego. And therefore Shakespeare has in one of his stanzas, I'm paraphrasing, he says, the whole world is a stage and everyone is thinking, I'm the main actor on the stage. Center. Everybody wants to be the center. That was the beginning of our difficulty. We saw Krishna in the center. Oh, I would like to be the center. That'd be nice. I want to be the center. Then, bloop. We bloop. Come to the material world. Everybody's trying to be the center. Big problem there is you get too many centers, a lot of conflict. No, Krishna is the Supreme. Prabhupada said that throughout the world there's so many countries they're manufacturing and they're doing export. They're manufacturing things and they're doing export. In India also, we're doing export. Every couple months another incarnation of God is being exported out to the world. A new incarnation, latest incarnation. Cheaters, a lot of cheaters. This is one of the flaws of the conditioned souls. They have imperfect senses. Krishna doesn't have imperfect senses. His senses are amazing. And Gani Yasha Sakalendri Riti Manti, all his senses can perform all the functions of the other senses. And he can see with his hands, touch with his eyes. He honors prasadam with his eyes. He doesn't have to taste it. He becomes prasad. So we have imperfect senses, and therefore we make mistakes. So many mistakes we make. Prabhupada gives the example just like there may be some distance and there's some clouds, but it's because of our imperfect senses, it's hard to see. Is it a mountain or is it a cloud? Sometimes, I do a lot of driving around the country, and I'm looking, and I literally can't tell. It could be a mountain, it could be a cloud. Literally, you can't tell. And then you get close, oh, it was a cloud. Or I get close, oh, it was a mountain. We don't know. Imperfect senses. Therefore, we make mistakes. And therefore, sometimes we're in illusion. Quite often, we're in illusion. One person yesterday, he said, if you're always doing the right thing, then you know you're not doing anything wrong. Don't know if that makes sense. You're always doing the right thing, you know you're not doing anything wrong. But the question is, what's the right thing? People don't know what is the right thing. Therefore, they're doing all wrong things. Doing the wrong thing because they don't know what is right. It's like here in the West, we didn't have a clue that it's wrong to eat meat, isn't it? Mm-hmm. In India, they know, isn't it? Isn't it? Even now they're eating, they know it's not good. And therefore sometimes I'll offer Bhagavad Gita and they say, no, I eat meat. They won't touch it. They know it's wrong. I said, no, it's okay. Krishna will forgive you. Take it with you. It's okay. So many things we don't know. To have illicit sex, no problem. In India, they know. Oh my! In villages, if a boy is talking to a girl and there's a policeman nearby, what are you doing? Isn't it? They'll chastise him. Of course, he asks, "Is this your sister?" If it's not his sister, he's in trouble. You can't even talk to a girl that's not not related to you. I think it's still like that. Not in the big cities, yeah, but the villages, still. You can just talk to someone. What to speak of other things. There's some culture. And then amazing is that women would not even be seen. Back in the old days, women they would be at home. And Prabhupada said that just to go next door, they would go in a palanquin. 4 men carrying a palanquin just to go next door with a lady. Amazing. Such protection. Such respect. So now, Kali Yuga, even in India now, become so degraded. The so-called Western culture is very quickly moving in. Degrading, becoming so degraded. So Makarma Krim Mat Parama. Krishna is the Supreme Person. Makarma Krim Mat Parama. Mat Bhakta Sangha Bhartita. Who is engaged in my devotional service. This is the goal of the human form of life. To engage in devotional service. This is the perfection of the human form of life. Not easy, because in the bodily conception of life, we want to serve our senses, we want to serve the body. Kamadinam katina katidana. We're servants of our senses. Rupa Goswami says that I'm a servant of bad masters. I mentioned this last week. But they've never been merciful to me, nor have I wanted to give up serving them. But now, my dear Lord, you've given me transcendental intelligence. So I no longer want to serve these bad masters. Now I just want to serve you. Krishna's the best master. Best boss. That the word is Kartam Isha, the boss. He's the best boss. It's like here in the material world, bosses are sometimes very pushy. Pressure. Come on, work harder, like an ass, come on. Like a whip, come on, work harder. Just harassing the workers. And if you're not up to standard, then fire. But Krishna, he's such a good boss. He's only looking, what is the intention? What is the intention? Not so much the result. Krishna's also, he's not so attached to the results. But where is the heart? Where is your heart? Just like someone be distributing books all day long and not distribute one book. I've seen it. I was in Europe and I was talking to some giving a Sankirtan class. I asked, has anybody here ever been on book distribution all day and you didn't distribute one book? And I couldn't believe it. 5 hands went up. Imagine that. I can't imagine. But Krishna was so pleased with them. They didn't stop. They kept doing it. Now, if you have a boss and you've been working all day long and zero result, what happens? You're fired. But Krishna, he's so pleased because they tried. They put their heart into it and they tried. They didn't stop. Krishna's so pleased. Not only does he not get fired, Krishna's pleased with him because he tried his best. And Prabhupada said that to the Sankirtan when he said, just try your best. Just try your best. Try your best and leave the rest to Krishna. And that's good. That's good. You go out and you struggle, that's purifying. That's good. I mean, I've never had a day where I didn't distribute one book. But I did. I had one day. I distributed one book in Miami. Miami's a tough place to distribute. I had one day where I distributed one book, but I was happy. I was trying, and I was thinking of Krishna, trying to please him. But only one person took a book. But I was satisfied. Because when we do difficulty for the pleasure of Krishna, then it's purifying. So you can have this, if you boil butter, then what happens eventually? Yeah, all the impurities come out. It's called the fire of ordeal. The impurities come out, and then you just have pure ghee. All the impurities come out. So sometimes we're on book distribution, it's difficult. We're in the fire of ordeal, and the impurities are coming out. And eventually, you feel purified. Good. And this is what we want. We welcome difficulty. As Kesava Swami says, be comfortable with the uncomfortable. I like that. You're out there struggling, it's uncomfortable, but it's good. And therefore, Queen Kunti, she says, Vipida santita sasva tatra tatra jagatguru bhavato darshanam yasat apura bhavadarsana. She prays for calamity, because by calamity, then she gets the darshan of Krishna. And that means we no longer have to take the darshan of the material world. So which one do you want? You want darshan of Krishna, or you want darshan of the material world? So by doing austerity for Krishna, we give up darshan of the material world and we get darshan of Krishna. So difficulty is welcome. And therefore, practically without exception, devotees who had distributed books for some time, for some years, always say the best years of their life was in book distribution. Because they knew they're doing something that is pleasing to Krishna, pleasing to Prabhupada. And therefore, we're happy. Krishna's in control of everything, right? So he's also in control of our happiness and distress. So if we do things that are pleasing to Krishna, we'll find ourselves feeling happiness. But karma krin matpar mat bhakta sangavardita nirvaira sarvabhutesu. And Krishna goes on to say that he who sees who was friendly to everyone, who was friendly to everyone. Not easy to be friendly to everyone. Like sometimes on book distribution, like we have tables, right? And we're in, downtown areas, so sometimes homeless people will come. And they'll, almost without exception, they always stop at our tables. So it's, we're supposed to be friendly to everyone, but if you're friendly to them, then then they stay at the table because they have nothing to do. And if you're friendly to them, oh, this person's so friendly, he's so nice. And then they'll just stay there and stay there, but you want to distribute books, So it's a tough one to call, what to do. So it's hard to be friendly to everyone. But this is a sign of purity. Everyone is part of Krishna. Everyone is part of Krishna. So to see beyond the covering, to see the soul, that's not easy. But if we see in that way, then it's easy to be friendly to everyone. I'll tell you a nice pastime of Prabhupada. My favorite pastime of Prabhupada. Prabhupada had gone to India in 1970, and he told all the temple residents in America to send their best man to India for spreading Krishna consciousness now in India. Have I told this story here yet? So many devotees came from America and were there with Prabhupada. One of them was Giriraj Swami. And he was a son of a millionaire. He was a judge. And he was the only son. So that he joined the Hare Krishna movement, that was a challenge. But now he's in India, the other side of the planet. So his father and his mother decided to go to India and try to get him go back to America. So Giriraj Brahmacharya at the time got his flight information, picked him up at the airport, and immediately his father is trying to convince him to go back to America. He said, how can you stay in this third world country? Come back to America. Land of the brave. Land of the free. No, I want to stay here. So he understood that his spiritual master, Prabhupada, was his leader. So he said, can you arrange a meeting with your guru? I'd like to speak to him. Yeah. So he arranged a meeting with Prabhupada. So there's Prabhupada and his parents and Giriraj and Prabhupada's servant. So he said to Prabhupada, the father, this disciple of yours, he's our only son. Excuse me. And it's very difficult for me and my wife to live with him way over here. Please, can you send him back to America? So Prabhupada said to Giriraj, do you want to go back to America? No, Prabhupada, I want to stay here with you. So Prabhupada said to the parents, you don't want me to force him, do you? I said, no. Because there's a saying in America, a man forced against his will is of the same opinion still. So he'd still believe anyway. So they accepted that he's staying. So then Prabhupada said, well, why don't you take your parents to the foothills of the Himalayas? Go to, what was it? No, Kathmandu. So he said, yes, I can do that. So he went and he spent a week with them. Got a hotel there. Back then it wasn't. Now it's like Kathmandu is actually. Anybody into Kathmandu here? It's really congested. A lot of people, a lot of traffic. So the parents were happy with that. They spent a week with him. I mean, even when he was back in America, they didn't get a full week with him. He was in school and going here, going there. So I think we just with him for a week. So they didn't really like that. So then went back to to Bombay, and Giriraj wanted them to spend a little more time with Prabhupada, get some association. Just a moment's association with the pure devotees. It's pretty valuable. So they spent about an hour with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada didn't preach to them. There's a verse, there's the austerity of preach. Anudvegam karan bhakyam satyam priyam pitam chit svadyam yasanam chaya vanmayam tapushite. The austerity of speech is to speak that which is not agitating. Sometimes if we preach, it can be agitated. It disturbs the false ego. It can disturb its whole existence. You know? So he didn't preach. He was friendly to them. And Prabhupada's got a good sense of humor. He was joking with differences between America and India. And he was joking with them. He was being friendly to them. And when they left, they were happy. And then the servant, after they left, the servant said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you amaze me. Everyone loves you so much. And Prabhupada said, that's because I love everyone so much. That's why this movement spread the way it did. There's a book called The Hare Krishna Explosion. Why was it a Hare Krishna explosion? Because Prabhupada was giving his heart to people, and people were connecting. They were appreciating the friendship, the love Prabhupada had. So maybe I'll stop there. Is there any question? Or comment or reflection? Anybody online? Okay, we're a little over the time now. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam. Vanchakapi Krishna Kripasena Pridana Bhavadeva Vaishnaveva Namo Jai.
Vijaya Prabhu ki jai.